Hello, Kaiju fans, and welcome to a Drafthouse Diary for Monday, November 3rd, 2025, when I came out here to the Alamo Drafthouse at Littleton's Aspen Grove once again to see The Return of Godzilla. This was from 1985, or it was released in Japan in 84, the US in 85, and this was presented by the Alamo as part of their now 1985 time capsule series. And The Return of Godzilla was Toho's first effort to reboot the Godzilla franchise. So it ignores the existence of all of those sequels that came after the original 1954 Godzilla. So this is a direct sequel. In this movie, Godzilla has not been seen for 30 years, and he shows up again. And this was very much an 80s movie in a number of ways. For one thing, it used a lot of the same kinds of practical effects that the early Godzilla movies did, and it was fun to see those used in a very 80s style of filmmaking. We got to see all those miniatures and composite shots and little pyrotechnics and all of that used with a little bit more of the style and pace of an 80s movie, although it's not as if this was paced as a typical Hollywood 80s action movie. It was slow. It was a little jerky in terms of its cutting from scene to scene, but there was still something charming about seeing a movie made this way. And another way in which this was a very, very 80s movie is that this was absolutely a movie from the Reagan era, late Cold War, Tom Clancy novel 80s, in that in addition to having to deal with Godzilla, Japan was having to deal with being caught kind of in a crossfire between the Soviet Union and the United States, both of whom wanted to use nuclear weapons against Godzilla right up against Tokyo or in Tokyo Harbor to take care of Godzilla before it affected any US or Soviet territory. And it gave the movie a chance to have the Japanese Prime Minister make a very firm and morally heartfelt declaration of Japan's nuclear principles against development or use or introduction or proliferation of nuclear weapons. And again, it was very heavy-handed, but I could see what they were going for. I could see why this would have appealed to Japanese audiences who probably in the 1980s did very much feel like they were caught in a crossfire, as so many countries were. A few disappointments about this movie. I mentioned some of the issues with the editing and the pacing, also the score. The score was uneven, and I don't believe that they ever used the classic Godzilla musical theme. Maybe that was an intentional decision to separate this from the other Godzilla movies that had come before. But it doesn't feel like a Godzilla movie if we don't have that Godzilla theme. I do want to tell you about the rest of my trip to the Alamo, but first, if you're enjoying this, please click the like button. And if you want more Drafthouse Diaries as they come out, please click subscribe. The Alamo pre-show for this feature was just as you would expect, full of Godzilla things. So we got trailers for other Godzilla movies. We also got comedy bits that were edited and assembled from clips of Godzilla movies. Things like a commercial for the G90 Rex Godzilla workout program, or the Giant Monster All-You-Can-Eat Buffet featuring giant crab claws. And we also got kind of retrospective commentaries, video essays, talking about the development of the Godzilla movies over time in the different eras as the series was reboot from time to time, and also how it was developed in other places, like the American versions from the 90s and from the 2014 movie that launched the Monsterverse and Project Monarch. All in all, a good pre-show, a good job of getting us in the mood to watch a Godzilla movie. It reminded me that there are other Godzilla movies that I like a lot more than I liked The Return of Godzilla. This was not near the top of the list in terms of my favorite Godzilla movies, but it was still enjoyable. For dinner, I got the Carnivore pizza, and this time I asked for it to have the crust crispier, because that's one of the things you can designate in the new online ordering system they've got. And that is one benefit of this system, is you can see on screen all of the different options in terms of customizing your order and select which ones you want to apply. One issue that I've had a few times here at the Alamo is when I order an entree and also an appetizer. And the appetizer doesn't come until well after the entree has been served. That's kind of backwards and kind of a disappointment. Also, this was only the second time I've been here since upgrading my Alamo Season Pass to the all-in plan, which includes a 10% discount on all food and non-alcoholic beverage. They didn't initially take that 10% off my bill this time. I had to check with the server. She took care of it very quickly, very efficiently, so very good service in that regard. I do think the combination of the fact that they're still ironing out the online ordering system and the all-in season pass plan is still fairly new. That kind of thing is bound to happen. But it was a fun and interesting night at the movies. This was one of those spontaneous trips to the movies. A conversation about what do you want to do for dinner turned into a conversation about the fact that, the Return of Godzilla is playing over at the Alamo. Maybe we'll check that out. Glad we did. If you're interested in my Drafthouse Diary review of the original Godzilla from 1954, which I also saw here at the Alamo Drafthouse, check out this video next. I'll be back soon with more. In the meantime, enjoy your movies, and when you do, stay till the end of the credits.